A Chinese spy is living amongst ordinary citizens of Southern California. His mission is clear: steal United States naval secrets and the plans for its newest war-fighting technology. For more than a decade, he goes undetected until a seemingly mundane act puts him right in the crosshairs of the FBI. This week on Two Crime Newsies, we dig into Red Storm Rising and learn how a family of spies went undetected for more than a decade. Hey everyone, I'm Jen. Thanks for being with us.
Hi, I'm Tina. Good morning.
Good morning, my friend. We're sitting here with our yummy coffee that Tina just made us, and I'm here for it.
Do you see that steam coming out of my cup?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, that's the best. Hot cup of coffee first thing in the morning?
Mm-hmm.
It's first thing in the morning for me.
I have been up for a while. I had to get my little ones off to school. Then I had to take my dog to the groomer, which is a whole thing.
Oh, it is a whole thing. I relate to you there.
Yeah. So my dog is about 90 plus pounds, and he does not like to be away from our other dog. And so taking him anywhere by himself is always interesting, to say the least. He pumped the brakes as we were walking into PetSmart to get groomed, and here I am schlepping him through the parking lot. Yeah, it's always something.
He needs his emotional support buddy.
Mm-hmm. And then I went to Target, and now I'm with Tina at her house recording.
You're my emotional support buddy.
Well, before we get started, I also want to say a quick thank you to everybody who has contributed to our coffee fund. If you don't know what we're talking about, we have told y'all and shared with y'all before that podcasting takes a lot of work and, truthfully, a lot of caffeine. So we set up a little coffee fund where you can fuel, get it?
Fuel the podcast.
Fuel the podcast. The website for donations is buymeacoffee.com/2crimenewsies.
You can also find us at twocrimenewsies.com. There's a button for Buy Me a Coffee on the homepage.
I love our website. It's so good. Okay, are you ready to get into the show?
Ready.
I love it. So it's another spy episode, which our listeners know I love.
And I am now into.
I like it. I like it. Okay, this week we're talking about a show called Declassified, and the episode is season 1, episode 7, and it's titled Red Storm Rising. The show opens with FBI Supervisory Special Agent James Gaylord of the FBI's Counterintelligence Squad, and he's at the gun range, and over the video you can hear him saying, "It's not a fear as in petrified. It's more like doing everything you need to do and don't have any mistakes or failures because you didn't take that extra step and you weren't willing to take the time." We then see him loading his gun and him saying pure failure is motivation for him. He says if you fail in the counterintelligence area, it can have national implications, which can mean lives lost. And he says right before he fires the gun, it's very important to me. Keeping people safe, keeping Americans safe, keeping this country safe. It's my job, he says. Tina, let me just say, what an opening. This had me saying, yeah, let's go. Let's do this. I'm here for it.
It is an intense opening. And I immediately knew he was talking about fear of failure. And that's a real thing. Because I suffer from it. I'd rather sit in a room with a ghost for 5 minutes than have to sit with my failure even for 5 minutes.
I can see that. That's a very good point. Yeah. We've done a couple of these declassified episodes now, and our listeners seem to really like them. We did the Party Marty episode when we first started podcasting about Marty Peterson, who was a young woman who went undercover inside Moscow, Russia during the Cold War. And then more recently, we did the Ana Montes episode, in which Ana Montes, who was referred to as the Queen of Cuba in the U.S. intelligence world, gave classified information to her Cuban handlers and betrayed her homeland while working inside the Defense Intelligence Agency. And needless to say, I am into these declassified spy shows. If you haven't caught on that yet, like, I really am. And I'm happy that we've gotten Tina into liking these stories as well.
I will admit something.
What?
I normally don't like Mission Impossible movies, Jason Bourne movies, those kinds of, I guess those are like spy-ish, right? What would you call them?
I mean, so I'll be completely honest. I've never seen any of the Mission Impossible movies. I'm sorry, Tom Cruise, if you're listening to our podcast, just a little shout out.
He's not listening.
You never know. We have a global reach, Tina.
True.
But I do know the Jason Bourne movies, and yeah, I think that's kind of spy-ish.
Spy-ish, and I've always been opposed to watching them. They just don't interest me. But I think it's because they were kind of unrealistic to me. I didn't believe that all of this could happen. But now seeing all of these real life spy episodes, I think that they could be a little realistic.
Right? Like, these things actually happen. And I feel like they probably happen more often than we would ever know.
Yeah, which is why I've always thought, oh, this doesn't happen. Because we're over here in La La Land thinking that everything's great. And there's spies living amongst us. So, I love your spy music. So, shout out to my husband. I will get on board with watching what do you call it? Who's
James Bond is also like a spy catcher now.
Who's the
Jason Bourne.
Who's the other one? There's
Matt Damon.
Okay. Matt Damon.
Matt Damon, if you're also watching, hello.
Sure. Hi, Matt. Also, this episode plays out, I think, like a game of Clue, where you have some pieces of information in the beginning and you get to watch as all the pieces fit together and complete the mystery. And I love a mystery and suspense novel.
Me too, but mine includes some spicy things too.
Mine are not so spicy. But I really love it, especially when you're reading and you don't know who did it at the very end. So it's kind of a surprise or a twist. I really love those
You
kinds of
mentioned the
books.
game of Clue. We need to do a game night.
I would love it.
Tina and I, when we were first like getting to know each other, would do like random game nights. And those were so fun.
I forgot about those, Jen. Those were a good time. Let's bring them back.
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome.
We'll post a picture on our social media of me and Tina way back in the day from game night. I have a couple of good ones.
Oh, gosh.
You know which ones I'm talking about.
Yeah, I remember.
All right, so let's get into it. So we talked about him briefly at the beginning, but I want to get into Supervisory Special Agent of the FBI, James Gaylord. And you know I love to give you descriptions of people so our listeners can get the whole picture of the individuals we're talking about.
I do like that you do that.
So James Gaylord is a blonde-haired older guy who you can tell is a straight shooter.
Literally, he was in the gun range.
He was. And throughout the show, we see him in this like dark blue suit. He's got a button-down shirt on and a red tie. He looks like a no-nonsense guy, unless you're one of his grandkids, I think, which I feel like he's probably got a heart of gold and is putty in their little hands.
I really like how you make up these backgrounds and personas for these people, because when I'm watching these shows, I rarely think of the people that we see having friends or families outside of what we're watching. And I think that's for the best, because if I start imagining what these people are like on a daily basis, I'm going to get super distracted. I will never finish the show. But I do appreciate your brain and how it works, Jen.
Thank you, my friend. Now that I've painted a picture of you, let's move on. Agent Gaylord lives and works in Southern California. And in February of 2004, which I was a senior in high school in February 2004, he was brought to the FBI headquarters in Washington, D.C. to be briefed on a special assignment.
We all know I was not in high school in 2004. Agent Gaylord says this is the biggest case he will ever be responsible for. He and a few others arrived at headquarters and had no idea why they were there. Before they could even get any information about what was going on, they had to take a polygraph test.
Whoa.
You know, Jen, the test that you wouldn't pass?
I would never pass it. So can we talk about a polygraph really quick? I heard, like, if you clench a muscle in your body.
The bottom muscle?
Yes, the bottom muscle. I just kind of like pointed, and Tina's like, yeah, the bottom muscle. If you clench that, your things will spike, and they'll think it's deceptive. I watched that somewhere.
Interesting. Well, you do get unreasonably nervous at the thought of a polygraph. Agent Gaylord says he's never had to go through something like this, so he knows whatever is happening here is a big deal. And the information he was about to get was extremely sensitive.
Now, Agent Gaylord says he was sat down after the polygraph exam and told that China was stealing U.S. naval secrets. Now, Agent Gaylord joined FBI Special Agent Kevin Moberly on the hunt for Chinese spies who lived inside the United States and passed themselves off as ordinary citizens. Now, let's talk about Agent Moberly. He looks like what my kids would say is a cheeky fella. For all you Bluey lovers out there, you'll know what I'm talking about. He looks like a nice guy who cracks jokes with his buddies and who you'd catch at a tailgate party. I feel like he's the type of dude we would hang out with as friends.
I think that's hilarious because I can't imagine any of these guys at a tailgate party unless they're going undercover to spy on someone. These guys look super serious to me. And I imagine maybe if they're trying to go have a fun night out or a fun day out, they're going golfing, not tailgating.
I like my backstory a little better because it's a little more fun.
I appreciate your imagination.
Okay, back to the story. And Agent Gaylord and Agent Moberly catching Chinese spies. This next part surprised me. We see a clip of a news show called Lou Dobbs Tonight, where Lou Dobbs tells the audience the FBI is asking for your help in identifying Chinese spies amid growing evidence that China is now the nation's greatest intelligence threat.
If I saw that on a news show today, I'd be shocked. This sounds like really important information, and I'm seeing it on a regular news program. And so what are regular people supposed to do with this information? Regular people like me and you.
You get suspicious of everyone.
I know this is worse. Now I'm going to be even more suspicious. Am I supposed to call the FBI on any Asian neighbors that may be suspicious? Realistically, all of my neighbors are kind of suspicious. I hardly see them. The only indication of life anywhere in the houses surrounding me is sometimes a neighbor's car is gone or it's parked in a different spot.
Hey, the people behind you moved that tent that blew into the other person's yard.
Indication of life. But I didn't see someone do it. It was just gone. It was there one day, gone the next. Back to Agent Gaylord, who tells us more about China. He says the country is huge. And on the screen, we see it says population of 1.357 billion.
With a B.
Billion. The population of the entire Earth is only 8 billion. Nearly 1.5 billion of that is in China alone. Also, Agent Gaylord says China is still growing. And he goes on to say that most information worth having is in the United States.
Interesting. Okay, so we're going to get into NCIS Special Agent in Charge Gunnar Newquist. He was brought in to work the case since the information China was dealing with involved naval, meaning Navy, intelligence. And for those of you who are wondering, NCIS stands for Naval Criminal Investigative Services. Special Agent Newquist says he is always motivated to protect the Navy's technologies, so they have that advantage. So we hear that there was an information leak in Power Paragon, which is a subsidiary of L3 Communications, which is a huge defense contractor in the United States.
Agent Gaylord says 95% of the work that Power Paragon does is related to U.S. Navy technology and electronics. We find out that someone was leaking information about Navy destroyer and submarine technology to China. And Jen, I forgot that submarines exist. And here we see B-roll of a man descending into a submarine Climbing down a ladder from the small, narrow opening at the top of the vessel and watching him do this just gives me secondhand claustrophobia.
Right? I know. That whole, like, you're literally underwater. You don't resurface sometimes for months. That scares me. Months.
You'd have to take a lot of vitamin D tablets, I would think.
I think so. I mean, you got to be doing something. Red light therapy for sure.
It doesn't sound good for you.
No.
Do they have a gym in there?
I mean, they must. I mean, it just fascinates me. I don't even like, so at Disney, they have that like submarine that goes through Nemo's pond. I don't even like going on that. And part of the sub is still above water.
So you get into this vessel and is it closed off at the top? Like, do they put you in and cover you?
Yes, but it's like it's a ride and it's on a track, but still your half of the thing is underwater. And so they have these little manhole cover or manhole window things, porthole, that's it. They have these little porthole windows that you look out of and you see like the Nemo creatures, like Nemo and Dory and like the Turtle Crush and like those things. But you are underwater and then you climb out of this like manhole cover at the top, which is closed during the ride. And even that kind of gives me like claustrophobia.
Yeah, I'm out.
Yeah.
It sounds fun, but it's, I mean, the ride, the things you get to see sound fun, but I don't know if I'd be okay with just getting in there.
I prefer the Pirates of the Caribbean. That's more my kind of ride.
I'm on board with you there. Back to the story.
Back to the story. Definitely not the kind of information you want in the adversary's hands. And that's for sure. We hear that investigators looked into a number of factors to try and figure out who the spy was. So you may be wondering, what did they look at to figure out who the spy was? Well, in the Ana Montes episode, we talked about how one of the first things they looked at was files of people who had traveled to Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, Gitmo as it's called. Well, they did something similar here.
Right. So Agent Gaylord and his team start digging through the files to see who was flying from California to China.
That makes sense.
Right. They also look at the types of security clearances that these people have, the type of information they would regularly have access to. And get this, after looking through all of this information, only one person stood out from the bunch. A man named Chi Mak.
I can't believe that they were able to narrow it down so fast. I am impressed. Seriously, never mess with the FBI, the NCIS people. So let's talk about Chi Mak a little bit. We see a picture of this fella on the screen, and he looks like someone who would be good with computers. Is that wrong to say?
Just like every other person we've seen in this episode, he looks like a nice guy. A little on the nerdy side. But maybe that's what makes him look very unassuming.
He's this aging grandfather kind of looking guy. In the picture we see on the screen, he's got his black hair combed to the right side. He's got large wireframe glasses on. He's got a large nose. And he's got a sneaky looking smile on his face. Almost like a Cheshire cat, if you ask me. And he's wearing a white striped button-down shirt with a tie. Honestly, I would never pick this guy out of a lineup for somebody who would be doing anything illegal, let alone committing espionage.
Absolutely agree with you on that. Chi Mak was born in China in 1940. He was married and moved to the U.S. with his wife in 1978. He started his career as an engineer in Southern California at Power Paragon and was granted U.S. citizenship in 1985. 10 years later, in 1995, Chi Mak was given his secret clearance.
We hear that Chi Mak was a very good electrical engineer, almost like the guy who everyone goes to if they have a question. He was also trusted by top U.S. government experts and worked with them side by side for decades, and no one ever suspected anything. FBI Special Agent Kevin Moberly says that Chi Mak was trusted to work on some of the Navy's most sensitive technologies, at which time we see an F-18 Super Hornet aboard an aircraft carrier in the ocean taking off from the flight deck. And Moberly says that Chi Mak's work involved some of the technology that would take the Navy into the next century.
Agent Gaylord says Chi Mak gave China information about the Virginia-class submarine. which was the Navy's newest submarine at the time. And he also gave them information on something called DDX, which is the newest and most advanced destroyer ship in the world at this time. But we find out the most sensitive information that the U.S. is trying to protect is information about quiet electric drive technology.
That sounds way above our pay grade, Tina. Quiet electric drive technology.
Agent Gaylord explains this technology is about quieting the acoustic signatures of Navy ships and submarines so they can be a little sneakier.
They can be a little what?
Sneakier.
I don't know why, but like in my mind right now, I'm playing like whale songs, like.
Do that again. That's exactly what a submarine sounds like. In case you were wondering.
I don't know why, but like as you were like telling us about that,
I'm gonna cry.
I don't know why, but as you were telling us that and like talking about it, I just had like flashes of like whale pods like swimming and like talking to each other.
Okay.
You didn't have that?
Nope. Oh my gosh.
What can I say? I aim to entertain.
I'm done.
Okay. So, a submarine is no good.
I can't with your noise. I still hear it.
Tina, back to the story. Focus.
Okay, go ahead.
As we're wiping the tears up over our eyes. Okay, so a submarine is no good to the U.S. Navy if the enemy can hear it coming. And if China, for instance, has access to the quiet electric drive technology, they would be able to track the submarine and destroy it, killing more than likely every single military serviceman and servicewoman on board. Something we clearly do not want happening. And needless to say, the FBI and NCIS were worried about what information Chi Mak had already sent to China and what information he was planning to send.
Did he already give away the quiet electric drive information? And what else did he tell them if he did? The stakes right now are high.
Astronomically high.
People's lives are on the line if these agents can't stop Chi Mak.
The FBI now had the job of trying to catch Chi Mak in the act of committing espionage. Now, the FBI supervisory special agent James Gaylord says the thing that hit him hardest about this case was that they have a man who came to the United States for better opportunities who, in fact, was a spy. He was sent here from China and pledged allegiance to the United States. He took an oath with the intent of betraying it. He lived in this country for decades and was willing to put our military members in danger. And needless to say, the pressure on everyone involved to stop Chi Mak was immense. Investigators kicked off the investigation not only into Chi Mak, but also his wife, Rebecca.
Jen, hold that thought, because it's time to refill our coffee mugs and give our listeners a quick message from our sponsor.
This episode is sponsored by Jake Tatum, top producing mortgage lender with the Wood Group of Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation. Before Jake was helping families get into homes, he spent years in law enforcement, solving problems under pressure. He learned how to read a scene, dig into the facts, and separate truth from noise. Now he brings that same level of clarity and precision to the mortgage world.
Because let's be honest, in this market, it can feel like there are clues, twists, and suspects everywhere. Interest rates moving, headlines popping, and everyone online acting like they have the secret code. Jake cuts through all of that.
Jake does all loan types: conventional, FHA, investment, renovation, and a one-time closed construction loan, you name it. And he also specializes in VA loans, making sure our veterans get every advantage they've earned.
And if you're thinking about refinancing, whether it's to lower your payment, pull cash out, or restructure your loan, Jake can break down your options and guide you through every step.
If you want a lender who treats your loan like a case file and actually solves it, connect with Jake today. Start at tatumhomeloans.com. That's TatumHomeLoans.com.
Jen, is your coffee mug filled?
It is.
Let's get back to our show.
We learned Chi Mak was the only one who had been passing along this information. But the problem was that the FBI and NCIS couldn't just do a search warrant on the couple's home or tap their phones. So in March of 2004, teams were set up to dumpster dive in the couple's trash to see if they could recover any signs of espionage occurring. And you heard that right. Good old dumpster diving. Yuck. It's actually pretty smart to do, though.
It is, because you can be discreet about it. You can take their trash without being noticed. You can dig through it on your own time. You can keep what you need and get rid of the rest. It's easy peasy, except for the digging through the garbage part.
Ew.
And if you want to picture just how bad of a job this has to be, Agent Gaylord describes a bit of what it's like. He says usually the trash has been sitting outside for about a week in the hot sun.
Ew.
And he says there's usually maggots and obviously it smells.
I had somebody on my street the other day hit our trash can and knocked it over, and I had to pick everything back up, and there were maggots in the trash can, and I felt so grimy. Oh, it was so nasty.
Yep, that's a note for me. I have a weak stomach, which is why I didn't pursue a nursing career like my parents hoped I would. Sorry, parents. We find out that Agent Newquist was a team player. This guy wasn't afraid to dumpster dive. He got in there. He dug through the trash himself.
He's like a raccoon.
Sure is. Sounds like Agent Newquist might also have made a good doctor or nurse. Mm-hmm. No weak stomach there. Agent Newquist also says he had some fun with his kids when they would ask him how his day was during this time, and he told them he was dumpster diving all day. If my dad came home in a suit and tie and told me he was dumpster diving all day, I'd immediately think he was a spy.
Yeah, there's something going on there.
Mm-hmm.
We also hear that 24-hour surveillance 7 days a week was ordered on the couple. Now, the FBI needed to learn where Chi Mak was at all times, who he was talking to, how he got from point A to point B, where he went, and what he was doing when he went places. They became Chi Mak's shadow. And we hear that Chi Mak's life revolved around work. Despite having a brother named Chi Mak who lived near him, his life, from all outward appearances, revolved around his job and then going home. And we see a picture of the couple's home in Downey, California on the show, which is on the outskirts of Los Angeles. We hear it's about 700 square feet home. It's got some bushes in the front, it's painted white, and has some wooden trim, and it's nothing conspicuous.
We find out Rebecca was in the house all day and wouldn't leave home without Chi Mak. Agents would see her look out the window every day, and they think that she's hiding or protecting something, almost like she was guarding the house.
We hear the couple also lived very modestly. We see pictures from the inside of their home. On the wooden floors in the small bedroom sits a mattress on the floor with some maroon bedding on top. We also see another picture of what looks like a very small built-in cabinet, which has stacks of books on it, and truthfully just clutter and junk.
We also hear that she and Rebecca Mack didn't spend much money. They cut costs where they could. They lived in the small house, and that 700 square feet, Jen, includes a one-car garage. And they never made any updates or improvements on their home. We find out that Chi Mak was earning between $80,000 and $100,000 a year from his job, which at that time in the early 2000s was a pretty good income.
I think that's a pretty good income even now.
I agree. The next part is funny. Agents say that every time Chi Mak stopped for gas, he would wash his windows. And at the time, agents thought this was some sort of signal or maybe a tradecraft thing where he would move around the car, wash all the windows, and be able to get a 360 view of what was going on around him.
Like if somebody was watching him.
Right. But it turns out this was no tradecraft operation. Chi Mak was washing his windows every time he stopped for gas because he didn't want to pay for a car wash.
I mean, he's saving some money. So he was just cheap, in other words. And that made me laugh. We also hear that every Saturday, Chi Mak would go to a local hardware store, but he'd never buy anything. So you may be wondering, what was he going to a hardware store for?
Agents thought he must have been meeting with a foreign intelligence officer at that store, but they were wrong.
Apparently, he liked the free coffee that was available there because he would go in, get a cup of coffee, and be on his way.
Free coffee, Jen. I respect this. But that is some nerve.
Right? Go in and not buy anything. I always feel guilty going to like boutique stores or whatever where you know it's like a local business and like going in and not buying something. I always feel like I have to buy something to try to like support.
Sure, I couldn't walk into a place every day, take their free stuff, and then not give them any business. Also, fun fact, my local hardware store gives free samples of frozen margaritas.
What? I need to start going to your hardware store.
It's also a really neat place to buy cool gifts. They have a little gift shop section.
In your hardware store?
Yes, we should go check it out one day when you're not busy. It's time to do some Christmas shopping and have a free margarita. Well, it's a little sample.
Yeah. Let's go right now.
After we're done.
I mean, it's only 9 a.m., but hey, I'm down.
It's
5 o'clock somewhere.
A little shot of margarita never hurt anyone in the morning.
Right? Jeez. Okay, so we hear months and months of surveillance continued on the couple. And still, at 5 months of constant surveillance, the FBI still had not seen any interaction between Chi Mak and his foreign handler. It's a waiting game. A frustrating waiting game, if you ask me. I don't have the patience for that. We've talked about it before on other episodes, and I could never be a spy hunter. I just need stuff to happen.
Yes, that's true. You have to have incredible patience. We even hear that agents doubted that they had the right person because of how long it took them to catch Chi Mak in action. Can they catch him giving information to China? The investigation is dragging on, and there's also fear that if it takes too long, they'll lose support and be told to end the investigation. Remember what happened with Green River Killer? The investigation was taking too long and they wrapped it up. That's what they're afraid might happen here. So they have to try something else. The next step is to get inside Chi Mak's house and see what they can find. So they put together an affidavit for the FISA court. FISA stands for Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act. The FISA gives organizations the ability to conduct surveillance to look for spies. It's a court. Just like a regular criminal court, you need a warrant to be able to do certain things like monitor someone's phone. And in this particular warrant, the agents listed out why they believe Chi Mak is committing espionage. The warrant is approved, and agents are now allowed to tap Chi Mak's phone and search his house without him knowing.
Tap his phone lines and go search his house. Yes, let's go. The phone tap proved very useful because we hear the agents learned that Chi Mak and Rebecca were planning a trip to Alaska. The thought at the time was that Chi Mak was going to meet his spy handler while on that trip to Alaska, so a plan was put in place to have FBI agents tag along, unbeknownst to Chi Mak and Rebecca, of course. And that sounds like my kind of job right there. A free trip to Alaska, don't mind if I do. Maybe I should join the FBI.
And not just a trip to Alaska. It was an Alaskan cruise.
Let's go.
Also, we find out that just like the other times with the windshield washing and the trips to the hardware store, this Alaskan cruise was simply an innocent vacation. They didn't see any indication that Chi Mak was meeting anyone suspicious there. But the cruise did give agents an opportunity to get inside Chi Mak's house while he was away. But it's not as easy as it sounds. They have to find a way inside the house. They have to search the whole house, and then they have to leave without being caught. First, agents set up a command post at a nearby park. Next, they have to find a way to blend in with the neighborhood. Remember, Chi Mak and Rebecca lived a quiet life. They don't typically have people over, so it would look real suspicious if suddenly there was a ton of activity at their house. So they do something pretty smart here. They get a van that looks identical to Chi Mak's van, and they park it in his driveway just like he would. Then agents have to make sure it's clear to get inside the house. They have other agents outside looking out for them, making sure other neighbors aren't hanging around outside that may see them go in.
Tina, they got a van that looked like Chi Mak's van. How cool is that?
Yeah, I thought that was an awesome idea.
Yeah. And on the screen, we see an FBI team enter the house and walk super slowly around so they don't disturb anything. They don't flip on any overhead lights because they want the house to look like it's empty. So through the darkness, they walk, guided by only their small flashlights. And we hear something so cool that I have to share. Special Agent James Gaylord says if the coffee table is very dusty, you can't scoot something because you leave a trail that something had been moved. So what would the FBI do? NCIS Special Agent Newquist says they would take cans of dust spray with them and spray it. How insane is that? They would spray dust. The genius here. I try to avoid dust in my house at all costs, but this super smart person at the FBI came up with dust cans to spray. How cool.
I wonder if they have to take their allergy pills.
Zyrtec on high alert there.
Or if they're wearing masks or something. Imagine someone, you're in a house and someone is spraying dust around. Oh, awful. Indeed, though, I agree with you. It is a neat invention, or should I say, tradecraft tool.
I like it.
But dust wasn't the only thing agents found in his home. Chi Mak had a ton of confidential information and documents all over his house. There were piles of papers stacked near the front door, on top of the kitchen table, in his bedroom, in another room that he used as his computer room or an office. And at this point, agents know they have the right man. Chi Mak is collecting piles and piles of important and secretive information that may have already been given to China.
So we know Chi Mak was stealing information, but there was no proof of him having committed espionage by giving that information to a foreign government. And that takes us to 12 months into the investigation when the next big break in the case happened.
Remember when agents started their investigation going through Chi Mak's trash? Well, they're still doing it. Agents are searching through Chi Mak's trash for an entire year before they find a key piece of evidence. Can you imagine the patience there, Jen?
I couldn't do it.
Digging through his trash for that long and not giving up?
Power to these people.
Agree. So in one of the bags of trash, agents find tiny bits of paper with Chinese letters or characters on them. One of the agents was taking each piece and trying to fit them together like a puzzle when something catches their eye. Among the Chinese characters, there's a piece that says DDX on it. Bingo.
Bingo, for sure.
That's what they need. We also see a picture of what the paper looks like after they put the pieces together, and it's a numbered list, 1 through 9. Number 9 had the letters DDX on it. Agents had the note translated, and it turns out it was a task list. Agents say this list means Chi Mak was getting instructions on what information to steal.
Okay, so let's talk about what was on this task list. You ready for it?
Ready.
It reads, number 1, water jet propulsion. Number 2, submarine airless propulsion. Number 3, weapons standardizations. Number 4, electromagnetic motors. Number 5, ship communications. Number 6, satellite communications. Number 7, sub-transient launch. Number 8, ELF, extremely low frequency. Number 9, DDX program. Besides this note, the FBI and NCIS were also able to piece together another note in which Chi Mak's Chinese handlers told him to collect the information in this note, which I will read to you. Here's what the note says that we see on the screen, and I'm going to read it verbatim. I suggest you participate in more associations and more symposiums to learn more. You can make a disc with the content of each symposium, which will be quite useful for your future research. The note goes on to say, electromagnetic interception system, space transmission magnetic levitation platform, warship-borne electromagnetic platform for planes to take off and land, electromagnetic gun system, submarine electromagnetic transmission device for underwater torpedoes. And the note continues with aircraft carrier system configuration and work parameter manual, type, model, and targets of electronic system, electromagnetic prevention and protection, electromagnetic screens. This was all the information that Chi Mak was being tasked with to collect and then put on disk and then hand those over to his Chinese handlers.
We find out Chi Mak's handler is named Pu Pei Lian. Those 2 notes that we just told you about were hidden in a health book to give to Chi Mak. And it's crazy that he just tore them up and threw them away instead of burning them. Agents say it was one of his biggest mistakes that led to him getting caught.
I'm glad that, truthfully, he was kind of stupid and just did that, because otherwise, who knows if they would have ever really been able to tie him to this.
To find something on him, right?
Mm-hmm. After this find, the FBI was able to get back into Chi Mak's house 2 more times while the couple was on another vacation. They installed microphones and video cameras around the house.
Now agents are watching the cameras and they notice something odd inside Chi Mak's house. The way Chi Mak and his wife Rebecca lived was not like a normal couple. They noticed there was no affection displayed by either of them. They didn't do normal things like hold hands, they didn't touch, they didn't hug or kiss. Now agents are wondering if this is even a real marriage, or was it arranged for a spy operation?
An arranged marriage. Holy moly, this reminds me of the TV show The Americans. Did you ever watch it?
No, I've never heard of that.
Oh, I love it. It was about this Russian man and his wife who were set up by the Russian intelligence agency to move to America and spy for Russia, all while pretending to be a married American couple. And it's such a good show. If you haven't watched it, watch it. Tina, you need to see it.
Tell us where we can find it.
Tina, you can watch it on Hulu.
Okay.
You should definitely watch it. I think you and your husband would really enjoy it.
I know he would.
And because of this revelation of the so-called arranged marriage, the FBI also started following and keeping an eye on Chi Mak's brother, whose name is Chi Mak, who lived in Alhambra, California, and worked for Phoenix TV, which, according to Google, is a Chinese state-owned television station that broadcasts globally and offers programming about news, culture, and entertainment tailored to North American Chinese audiences. I didn't even know this was a thing until this show. They also started following Fook Lee, Chi Mak's sister-in-law, who also lived in Alhambra, California, and his nephew, Billy Mack.
Remember, Chi Mak lives near Chi Mak, and during their searches of Chi Mak's home, they found information that led them to believe Chi Mak also has a role in this spy operation. Agent Gaylord says Chi Mak and his family were sent to the U.S. in 2001 so that Ty could be a courier of the information that Chi Mak stole.
They're keeping it in the family.
This is great information, but they need more. They need to actually catch these spies in the act, and for that, they need a little more patience.
At this point, we're 20 months into the investigation, almost 2 years in. And that's when the team found some surveillance video of Chi Mak and Rebecca sitting at their dining room table copying discs. We see this on the show, and it is so cool to see. And just like any married couple, we hear that the two were bickering at each other.
Yeah, now they're sounding more like a married couple, maybe not so much an arranged marriage. Agents say Rebecca was standing over Chi Mak and nagging him about what he was doing wrong. And we see this interaction on the screen, and there's subtitles, and you can hear them going back and forth with Chi explaining what he's doing with the discs and Rebecca telling him to do it another way.
This reminds me of the episode we did about the Russian spies living in America, where the wife would call home and tell the husband to do something, and he'd be like, I'll get on it right away, honey, and hang up the phone. And like agents who were listening to this from surveillance inside the house, they would hear him just like flip on The Sopranos on TV.
Oh man. Agents believe the information about the quiet electric drive is on the discs that they're working on.
We hear Chi Mak picked up the disc from Chi Mak and then gave that disc to Billy, who's his son, who used a laptop with encryption software to encrypt the floppy disk, which would then be passed to Chinese handlers.
Okay, here's something interesting. We also hear that these aren't the greatest spies. You have to be good at technology to be a spy, don't you think?
You and I would never be spies because you and I are terrible at technology.
Very true. Well, agents think Billy, Ty's son, wasn't originally part of the spy ring, but Ty needed his help to encrypt the disk because Ty wasn't good at it.
You'd think they would have gotten some training. Oh my gosh. We hear a recorded call from October 19th, 2005 from Chi Mak, Chi Mak's brother, to their Chinese handler. In the call, he says, "Hello? Hi, how are you, Mr. Pooh?" To which Mr. Pooh responds, "Hi, this is he." And Ty says, "Chief Pooh, this is Mr. Mak, Red Flower of North America. I'm flying from here on China's Southern Airlines and arriving on the 30th at 6:20 in the morning." Now, a few days later, we hear a recorded call between Ty and Chi Mak. Ty says, "I'll be going back to Hong Kong next week." And Chi responds, "You're only going to Hong Kong?" Ty says, "I'll also go to China." To which Chi responds, "Good." At this point, they've got them. There's enough for an arrest. It's October 28th, 2005. Take it away. It's takedown day.
Okay, so they have proof that Chi Mak stole the information. They have proof that he transferred the information to the disk. And they have proof he gave it to Chi Mak. Now, when Ty takes the disk and goes through the airport security on his way to China, they will have full proof that he was giving the information to a foreign country and committing espionage. So agents plan to arrest Chi Mak and his wife at Los Angeles International Airport, LAX as they say. At this time, they have to arrest the others elsewhere. So they have to have eyes on everyone, on Ty, on Fook Lee, on Billy, on Chi and Rebecca, all at the same time.
That's a lot.
Agents watch as Billy drives Ty and Fook Lee to the airport, drops them off, and then drives off. And agents noticed when Ty and Fook Lee were at the airline ticket counter that an Asian man was outside the airport recording video of them through a window.
That's suspicious.
So agents keep an eye on him, and others follow Ty and Fook Lee through security. Then a couple of agents, after they pass security, a couple take Ty off to one side, and another couple of agents grab Fook Lee and lead her the opposite direction and arrest them both. We see video of this, and it's very quick, easy, no fuss. And if I was going through the airport and seeing this, I probably wouldn't even think anything of it.
No, I mean, I'm imagining like guns drawn and all this kind of stuff, but that was not the case.
No. And remember that Asian man who was recording them earlier?
Sure do.
Well, he's watching all this go down too. And agents note that he looks confused watching all of this. Agents at some point go up to the man, take his phone, and learn more about him, and find out he too is a spy.
They got another spy completely on the whim, and it's crazy to me. We hear the man's name is Mr. Luol. He had 5 phones on him when he was arrested, and he was texting people in China about his progress. The Chinese had surveillance on their own agents. They had surveillance on Chi Mak and his wife at the airport.
There were spies spying on the spies.
It's crazy.
This is another level of
Spying.
It's like Inception spying.
On the screen, we see a video clip of Mr. Luol sitting on a chair inside the terminal wearing jeans and a yellow-colored looking jacket. We find out on the show that Mr. Luol was released from the FBI custody and returned to China.
Back to Ty and Fook Lee. Agents are still at the airport, now searching through their luggage. They found a small book in Chinese with the title, How to Speak American English. And inside the book were 3 slots for 3 CDs. 2 of the CDs in the book were legit CDs that were meant to help the reader learn to speak English. The third one was the encrypted CD.
That's smart. That's really smart, because if you are somebody looking at it, you're going to see those first 2 discs and automatically assume the third disc is how to learn English.
Yep.
Ooh. We hear the arrest of Chi Mak and Rebecca happen around 11:30 at night, and we see police interrogation video of Chi Mak as he sits with investigators, and he sounds confrontational during the interview. He says, "I don't care if you believe or not believe. I just tell you the facts, that's all." Special Agent James Gaylord says, "Give me an explanation for why those 2 lists were in your trash and where they came from." He says, "Not a long one. Just who belongs to these lists? Where do they come from?"
Agents know Chi Mak is nervous because they say in this moment, they watch him reach for a cup of tea that they say has been empty for about 40 minutes.
He's buying time.
He puts the cup to his mouth and pretends to drink from it. And they say he does this exactly for that reason, to buy himself time to think of an answer.
Special Agent Gaylord says, "I pulled this out of your trash," showing Chi Mak the note. "And I put it together. This came out of your trash." And Chi Mak responds, "Where? What is my trash?" And Special Agent Gaylord responds, "Don't ask me like it didn't, because I saw. I did it." To which Chi Mak says, "Yes, it's not. I never trash anything." "Probably." And Gaylord says, "You tore up this note so people who would see a lot of gibberish and wouldn't pay any attention. But since I know what I'm looking for, I know what you're doing." He's telling Chi Mak this. He's sitting so close to Chi Mak in the interrogation room, and the 2 are almost knee to knee, and he's like, "You're doing this, buddy." He says, "We've pieced this together, and we see instructions to you about how to do things from the people that you are helping back in China. You put it on a CD. It goes back to them." And Gaylord goes on to say, "Well, your company isn't Chinese, but you," to which Chi Mak says, "No, but in fact, of course, I can write something in Chinese too." And Gaylord makes the hard point. It's typed. That's a typed Chinese script. You don't have that on your computer. To which Chi Mak says, "No, I don't have." And that's right there a mic drop moment, if you ask me.
So this is all a whole bunch of back and forth. It's hard to follow a little bit, but it's really the agents trying to tell him, what is this note? He's saying, "I could have written this note probably." And they're saying, "No, it's a typed note and it's not on your computer."
Exactly.
So you got it from somebody and from somewhere.
Mic drop.
Where did it come from and who gave it to you?
And Gaylord goes on to say, "Where did it come from?" And we hear NCIS agent Gunnar Newquist say Chi Mak dug his heels in and would not say where the note came from. And Gunnar Newquist says he went back and interviewed Chi Mak a second time inside the Santa Ana jail, and something very unusual happened. He says when Chi Mak saw him, he started waving at Agent Newquist like the 2 of them were old friends.
Just in case I might pick that up, my dog sneezed. Agent Newquist says this was a sign that Chi Mak was ready to talk. So they bring him into a room and they don't really have a plan. So they just start talking to him about the Navy. Agents say they observed something about Chi Mak. They say he wanted to be the smartest guy in the room. So they did something interesting here. They allowed Chi Mak to play the role of the professor and they, the students, which opened up Chi Mak to talk to them. They played up on his ego. Agent Newquist says they flattered Chi Mak about the work that he did. And the more that they did these things, the more he talked to them. Agents at one point asked Chi Mak, "Did you do this to help the Chinese?" And Chi Mak responds, they say, "Absolutely." Then they ask, "Wouldn't doing that hurt the U.S. Navy?" And they say Chi Mak responded by saying, "I can't help China without hurting the United States Navy." I will say the narrator did ask why none of this was on video, and they said this was so spontaneous. They didn't plan to videotape this, and they just didn't They just didn't put it on video. So, or the agents explaining what happened during that sit down.
We hear it took a year and a half for the trial of Chi Mak, his wife Rebecca, Chi Mak, and his wife Phuc Lee, and their son Billy Mak to begin. And Tina, walk us through the trial.
Agents say the trial went smoothly for them. They had government witnesses, special matter experts, and engineers as witnesses. And of course, the agents testified about what they saw and the information they recovered. And the jury found Chi Mak guilty. And agents say it was a huge win for the entire intelligence branch.
On May 10th, 2007, Chi Mak was convicted on all charges of conspiring to export U.S. defense technology to China. And after Chi Mak was found guilty, the rest of his family ended up taking a plea deal. Chi Mak was sentenced to 24 years and 4 months in prison. Rebecca, who is Chi Mak's wife, was sentenced to 3 years in prison and then was deported to China. Chi Mak, who is Chi Mak's brother, was sentenced to 10 years and then deported to China. His wife Phuc Lee was deported to China, and their son Billy Mak was deported to China. We hear in all, the family was found guilty of, and listen to this because it's an extensive list: aiding a foreign government, international arms and trafficking regulations, conspiracy, and making false official statements. And what I find so interesting in this case was the use of family.
Yes. Agent Newquist says this case shows how the Chinese used family to commit espionage. Family members, he says, have a unique level of trust, and you build natural relationships within a family. People are usually all in when it comes to family. You hear a lot of people say ride or die all the time, and a lot of people are like that with family. We ride together or we die together. In this case, the family spied together.
I like it, Tina. That's a good little pun.
So would they be ride or spy?
Ride or spies. I did some digging and found out that Chi Mak died in prison on Halloween 2022. As for the rest of the family, they are all said to be in China. What an episode, Tina. Holy
Definitely.
moly.
This is a really good show.
It is. I love the declassified episodes. There's so many of them. There's 3 seasons, and it's one of my favorite shows.
I like how they're all so different too. They have different ways of finding out who these people are. They come from different countries. So we get to see how all of that plays out. I think it blows my mind to realize that this is a real thing.
Yep, it's crazy. And before we go today, I wanted to read a listener review since we haven't done one of those in a while. Tina, this one is from listener C2 the N. She says, well done podcast with a mix of short and medium length episodes. The hosts are funny and compliment each other very well. Tina, we're funny.
And to that, I think we should give our quiet electric drive cheer. Thank you for that really nice review.
Yes, that's awesome. All right, if you enjoyed this week's episode, share it with a friend.
Yes, please do. And please go to your podcast app and give us a 5-star review.
We love it.
We'd love to hear from you. It makes our day.
It really does. All right, my friend, you ready to close it out?
Sure am.
Okay, we will talk to you guys again next week. Bye.